Hello, welcome to the Living Process. My name is Greg Madison, and my guest this time is Klaus Renn. Klaus, for many, many years, has been heading the German Focusing Institute. And I thought it would be very interesting for us to have a conversation because with the language barrier, we in the English-speaking part of the focusing community know so little about their work in Germany. And Klaus gives us some of the background, how they originally learned directly from Gene Gendlin. And they had a summer school for many years before the International Focusing Institute had their own. And that Gene would travel over and teach them about the philosophy and about the practice of focusing and focusing-oriented therapy. There is partly an issue with the sound in the recording, and also there were some times where I offer a voiceover to try to simplify some of the explanations when Klaus gives us a lot of fascinating detail about how they actually teach. And it's obvious in the teaching that they take in a lot of the philosophy and apply it to the practice. I think that this episode will especially be of interest to focusing-oriented therapists and those of us who teach focusing-oriented therapists. I think you'll find that it's easier to watch this particular episode rather than listen to it on the podcast, although I do hope that I have simplified some of the presentation enough that you can listen to the audio only and that it's understandable. But on the video, you get much more of a sense of Klaus, and you can see his explanation with his whole body does add clarity to some of the things that he's saying. Anyway, I do hope that you enjoy this episode and that it is the beginning of more cross-fertilization and exchange between the German-speaking focusing world and those of us who don't unfortunately know German. Thanks very much. The Living Process with Klaus Renn. What if we start with you? I'm curious to know, then I can say something about myself, but I'm curious to know about your history with focusing, Gendlin,
Oh, yeah.
FOT. Yeah.
Oh, it's a long story, I think, but I make it short. Um, I met focusing in 1981 or so, and and I had been in my client-centered therapy education, and so I saw this, and I get the shift. This is my way, and till today. And so I had luck in my town in Würzburg, where I live. Um, had been a man, a psychotherapist, and he was one of the first coordinators of Gendlin. And so I was very happy. I was very happy that in my own town, the only one in Germany is here. And so I made my client-centered education training with this person. He was an educator, a trainer too. And so I learned client-centered and focusing in one, in one.
Mm-hmm.
At this time, um, this man and Johannes Wiltksho, they had been with Gendlin, and these both men decided to make a summer school in Germany. And I visited this summer school, and some years later I was leader with Johannes Wiltksho of the summer school in Germany. And the summer school is much older than the American summer school.
Mhm.
We had before the Focusing Institute in Chicago, we had in Germany a Focusing Institute and an organization, and we was much schneller, faster
Yeah.
um, than the Americans. Yeah, but we have not much connection to the institute. Um, our main connection was always Gene Gendlin,
Mhm.
and we invited him to our summer school, and we uh, had 5 summer schools with him. Um, and so he worked with people, he talked with us, he talked with our trainer staff in our institute, and so we get a lot of information and videos and something around Gene Gendlin. And he speaks German. This
Yeah.
was very good.
Yeah.
It was a funny German because he speak in the old uh, Vienna style, and he spoke in the old philosophical style because he read much of the German philosophic. Dilthey, you know the name
Mm.
Dilthey, I don't
Yeah.
know,
Yeah. Yeah. Dilthey.
and Heidegger and all these names, and so we get here in Germany from him a lot of philosophy too. We
Mhm.
had fun to deal his philosophical yeah, competence with us. Yeah, and he made, you know, the same, I think, the demonstrations, and we get the film of it. And so we learned very good with him. 1 year before he died, it was the last time at his home.
Yeah.
And we spoke, and it was a good connection with him. And
Mhm.
yeah, I liked it very much, and he do. And so it was a little colleague, a little my master,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
a little friendship. So it's a mix of relation. Yeah,
Yeah. Lovely. It's fascinating to me that the German Institute was first.
yeah. He was the first of all.
Yeah,
Yes.
it that's it's it offers a different history really to
Yeah,
think that there was this beginning in Germany
yeah,
that predates the beginning really in America in terms of organizing.
yeah.
And for me it raises the question of why didn't the Germans, and I can imagine the answer, but why didn't the Germans start the International Focusing Institute?
I think this was no
No
interest,
interest.
but we had a lot of doing to make it in our country.
Let me ask one more question.
Yeah,
Why do you think your institute has been so successful? What's the key?
what's the key?
Yeah, that's made you so successful when so many other institutes kind of struggle to get students and fill workshops and spread the word of focusing.
I don't know exactly. I think I think the point is relation.
Hmm.
I think the point is relation, a special way of to be together.
Mhm.
Uh,
Mhm.
and the other way is all our trainers, they have the focusing therapy education.
Mhm.
This means they have um, a lot of seminaries, and um, our education takes 3 till 4 years, and they have nearly 900 hours in workshops.
Hmm.
They have supervision,
Yeah.
supervision, and they have um, um, a network of partnership focusing, and all this together, so partnership focusing, the deeper way to stay in focusing, um, and the feeling in the group. I think this makes it.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
my person is important too.
And the people you train, are they all therapists?
No,
Okay.
you have a basic for everyone.
Okay.
The basic for everyone, four workshops, and one workshop takes 5 days. Uh, so they have 20 workshops, and then they can make certification.
Hmm.
So we name it in Germany focusing guide. Uh, they can do focusing, and they can yeah, guide some people who knows focusing too. And the therapists can take parts of this in their work, uh, but it's not focusing therapy. It's only um, focusing in the old way is making space and go inside, have question, and the, the basic focusing. Yeah, just the basic. Then when the therapists, and this can be therapists who are working as therapists. This can
Okay.
be social worker too, as can this is a bigger room
Yeah.
for it, and we have therapists who work in the social system, in the,
Mm.
you understand, social system,
Yes. Yep. Yep.
their own praxis, and so, and a mixture of everything. Interdisciplinary, is this right word? We have an interdisciplinary
Yes.
education, which is
Okay. Okay. Interesting. I'm curious how you teach focusing therapy. What, if there's a particular emphasis or how you understand focusing therapy, how you integrate it. Um, and I'm assuming that your teaching is also quite client-centered or person-centered.
yeah. But we need the word client-centered not so often.
Okay.
We need the word focusing therapy.
Yeah.
This is our identi identity,
Your identity.
yeah, identity. And, and this means that we have in focusing therapy integrated or crossed something from other
Mhm.
therapy
Okay.
style. Uh, if you want, I can tell you what we have in the first step. The first step means essentials, um, essentials of focusing therapy. And this needs 5 workshops and always 5 days. Um,
Wow.
and it's nearly 1 year, or it's 1 year program. And the people make during between the seminars, workshops, they make partnership
Hmm.
focusing and supervision, collegial supervision. And in the first seminary, we make the main point.
In this part of the conversation, Klaus talks about the essential level of the training and how they teach the
We sit
therapist
together
to
and
notice
I
the
see that
body gestures
you
and, for
want to fix a
example,
little
a wrinkled
and
brow
then I would say
and offers that back to the client and asks the client what's happening down in the center of their body while their brow is wrinkled, and that this really deepens the connection between the two people.
What comes up? And this makes the therapy contact very deep. Yeah, so it's here the content of speech, and then comes a deeper, is an invitation to a deeper process. And this belongs to the speech, but makes goes down, and then the speech can go on.
Can I just say that back to you to make sure I've understood?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is one of the first essential skills
Yeah.
that you teach the therapists.
Yeah.
It's that you pay attention to the content of what's being said, but you, at the same time,
Yeah.
you're noticing what's going on in the whole person's body, any signs that something else or something more might be happening. And
Yeah.
if you notice something, then the therapist invites the client to notice that and just asks, what's happening there? And
Yeah.
invites them to pay attention down into the middle part of their body.
Yeah.
Okay.
And this is for what I see with my eyes.
Yeah.
It's what I hear, the speech.
Yeah.
And this is to my inner feeling.
Yes.
If I feel something in me, in the contact to the client, I can say, oh, um, I is something here. Do you feel something special, or what is going? Um, my own awareness,
Mhm.
not only to see and hear and so, but the space, relation space.
So the therapist also is keeping awareness on their own felt sensing
Yeah,
and noticing the kind of the feeling quality of the relationship as
yeah,
well. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Good. Yeah.
yeah. And we have learned by Gene, he said 50% of the attention belongs to the client, and 50% of attention you have to take to yourself. This is
Yeah.
our, and so it's 50% to the client, but and then like so moving, the inner moving
Mhm.
client, and for me, what goes up, what I feel, this is the training in the first workshop. And
Sounds
you
fantastic.
want to hear more?
Yes, I do. Yes.
And the second workshop is, we name it responding. This is not so easy for you because responding is for you a normal word, but we use the English word responding for special technique. Responding means that I make my focusing over the situation with this client. I sit here, we speak together, and then I get any kind of feeling in me, and then I take my attention to this, and I ask what's in this, or I ask what is beyond this
Mhm.
feeling in me, and then comes up a picture, or in me, or something else. A picture, and this picture is possibly a little child stops the client in a friendly way,
Mhm.
um, and say, "Oh, I have something in my mind. Are you interested to get it?" And every client says, "Yeah, yeah." And then I can say, "Oh, I saw a little a little child is alone in his room and or something else. What's coming up? And I ask, oh, when you hear this, um, what's coming up to you? And then he asked. Then
Klaus then describes how they go to a great extent, really, to help the therapist open up to the client, going through all sections of the therapist's body and encouraging them to open the head, the throat, the heart, the belly, their whole body up to the client's presence.
and take everything of this client, what they know and what they don't know, what they really know in the workshop, and something that they never will hear and never understand, but take all of this client, of this, this client, and then ask yourself, and this in you, if there's coming a picture.
Here, Klaus is describing what happens next in the process, that the therapist opens up entirely to the client's whole being, and then the therapist notices if an image comes to them. And if they get an image that comes simply from being so physically open to the client, then they offer that to the client.
What is this for you? Then they get a picture, I don't know what comes up. And the client asked, gets a question, what makes this in me? And the therapists have the job to make 2 times or 3 times saying back, not so much, but a little bit, get it deeper and finish. And then the people go on faster. You have a new client, you have a new therapist.
Wow. Okay.
The question come, which background feeling in you comes up? And then tells us your client, and the same client makes responding, and then again they are asked to make a sculpture.
Sculpture? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Make a sculpture, and the clients have to stand up, and make something. And then the therapist has the job to invite the client to make it the same, to copy it, and get the feeling of this. Only to look, it makes nothing, but
yeah,
in this, and then the client, as a therapist, will guide the client in the next steps.
So let me say back a little bit of that, because it sounds so important and exciting to me.
Yeah.
First of all, it sounds like in general, one of the things you're teaching is for the therapist to take a little bit of time for themselves in the therapy to do like moments of self-focusing.
Yeah.
And in order to teach that, you do this interesting exercise where you have 2 circles, one circle of therapists, one circle of clients. The client doesn't say anything, but to start with, you take a lot of time to guide the therapist to deeply open every aspect of their body to the client.
Yeah.
And once they're so deeply open, then you invite them to get a sense of the whole client.
Yeah.
And first of all, to come up with an image and to share that and to have a little bit of processing around that. Then to come up with a background feeling and to share that and have a little bit of processing. and then to come up with the therapist taking a posture, a position like
Yeah.
a statue,
Yeah.
and inviting the client to do the same, and again to sense inside what happens to them. But it's interesting because you're really bringing into the therapy the importance of the therapist's process of the relationship or the interaction.
Yeah. Oh, one thing more I do
Yeah.
normally is narrative. Narrative.
Okay. Yeah.
Uh, so the same look,
Yeah.
and then I give them the word in German. Es war einmal. It was at all time fairy tale.
Yeah. Fairy tale.
So we have in German. Es war einmal is the beginning of every fairy tale.
Yeah. In English, it's once upon a time.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and to take this insight.
Mhm.
And have the client, all of the client, and then hear and feel which story comes up. And
Wow.
then tell this story in a short way, not
Yeah.
in a short way to the client.
Yeah.
And the client, okay, finish. And then the client that know what's
Yeah.
going up. And then the client can say, oh, this is or this, and the therapist have to guide the client with this whatever happens. And after this, the clients are so, or the group is so touched
Mhm.
because what's coming up um, in this kind of responding is so deep. The clients say, how you could know this?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
how it could be you give me answers exactly my life, exactly my situations. Yeah.
Yeah. Can I ask, just at the very beginning, you said you had these visits from Gendlin where he would talk to you about focusing and the philosophy.
Yeah.
And when I hear the way you're teaching, I'm wondering, what impact has the philosophy had in the way that you teach and understand therapy?
Yeah. Um, we have a lot of papers from Gene Gendlin.
Mhm.
We have um, working papers,
Yeah.
and in the first workshop, this is pointing. I tell something about William James.
Mhm.
James and Gendlin.
Yeah.
It begins with James and then Gendlin make it to the
Gives it a practice.
implicit. Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of Dilthey. And so I can give sometimes things from Dilthey in, and I have papers too
Mhm.
of Dilthey. And so we always, or I always do give this with doing and so thinking about it, so that
Mhm.
one comes together.
Yeah.
Not only psychotherapy doing, but the reflection, uh, the background of the doing is,
Yeah.
yeah,
The context
yeah,
and the integrating the philosophy
yeah,
about the practice.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. No, I really get that. The reason that I ask is because um, the way you're teaching, it sounds like you really emphasize the interaction. And it reminds me of Gendlin's principle of interaction first,
yeah,
and how what's happening in the therapist's body isn't just the therapist, because the body isn't separate from the environment or the client,
yeah,
that there's an interaction. So the therapist's self-awareness is an important part of what's actually happening in the therapy.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, this is a basic of all all these techniques.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Can I just ask, I'm aware of time, and I'm really glad we recorded this because I think this is really valuable.
Mm-hmm.
Your English is a lot better than you said it was.
And I, and I understand you very good. You have a very good pronunciation.
Thank you.
You have a very clear sound, and this connects to my English lessons in school.
So we're communicating.
Yeah.
I'm wondering,
Yeah.
I mean, I feel a little bit of regret
Re-
that
what is
re-
regret?
regret. I wish it had been different.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Regret is kind of, I wish something had somehow been different.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I regret a little bit that because of the language, um, what you're developing isn't better known in the English speaking part of the focusing community.
No, it's not interesting.
No, that's unfortunate.
Yeah.
But what I want to ask is now over the years of teaching and
Mhm.
having your institute and so many students, has your way of teaching changed, or is there anything that you have developed kind of beyond Gendlin's teaching? Or have you stuck close to what he taught you so many years ago?
Um, I think in our teaching was a um, was a change when we get the process model,
Okay.
when we could read it in German.
Hmm.
And this made a big change.
Yeah.
Um, we had before all this from James and Dilthey and Merleau-Ponty. I, I give to them some lectures and conference in our summer school and so. And so all this we had before too.
Yeah.
And then comes the process model. And so we had a bigger a bigger thinking about all this. But it was not everything new because Gene told us when he was here, um, not the process model, but the basic of the process model.
Yeah.
And so it was, we were good prepared for the process model.
Hmm.
And this made a change. Yeah, yeah. But we have nothing, everything what we do is connected with Gentlin's philosophy, Gentlin's attitude. We have nothing to, we do not screw something to focusing. Uh,
Yeah.
this we make not, uh, now how it names. The therapy makes so with the eye movement, this we don't have.
Yeah. Klaus describes that when it comes to teaching the focusing way of doing therapy, that it doesn't integrate anything from other approaches, whether it's person-centered or EMDR or any other of the body therapies. They don't do that. They stick very close to the original focusing therapy as they learned from Gene. But they do also integrate the use of parts.
Parts,
Okay. Yeah.
parts,
Yeah.
uh, with parts of the person, with parts of life in an inner way, but to make it in the making out, as an
Hmm.
explication is a room.
Yeah.
This is very important tools, working with the inner child, working with the critic, and this is all basic, also essentials. But later we make 5 workshops, 20 days, about structure-bound uh, experience. Interesting to work with people who are in a structure-bound feelings. This can be the body structures, this can be the kind of mind, this can be of wiederholen, of make always the same experience in the life or something else. And this is very fascinating to work with this and to work with this out from focusing.
Could you give maybe one example of how you would work in a focusing way with these more chronic structure-bound processes?
Okay. So we have four workshops, body work, then we make focusing body work.
Okay.
There the people learn how to look to the body.
Mm-hmm.
And this is structure bound too. If I have this here and my whole life like this here, then it's structure bound, and this structure will create my feelings, will make my relationships, will make my feeling to myself. This and so the client feels this from inside, and then takes the attention bodily, and then comes up the next step with this. And this can have in the situation of the now situation, now situation in his life. It can be old pictures or old feelings come up, and we work normally with focusing.
Okay.
To work this out. Or it can be too that if something says, I ask, is it okay to touch you? And then I can give my hands here. And I ask, is it okay? So is it more or lesser in contact or so? And then it gets more inner attention in this. And it's easier to get symbolizations.
Well, let me say it back to you that an example is if somebody wants to succeed so much that they end up failing.
Yeah.
But there's this kind of chronic pattern of wanting to succeed.
Yeah.
And how to bring attention to that so the client becomes more aware of it.
Yeah.
And then you work with it in a focusing way, symbolizing it and working with the explication of the symbols.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This example I give you this original Gene Gendlin speech.
Okay.
If something wants this or he made the example to someone wants to get my attention to her. If I want to see me, to hear me, I want to see, and so on. And if someone needs this feeling for his life, but then the risk is he makes it in a way, extremely ways that everybody goes away.
Yes, exactly.
And so he gets the same feeling since his first year of life or so. And this concept is very basic to understand the structure-bound experience. And here we have a lot of experiments to make it together in the workshops, and then the people make it in in her way and their work, in their
Yeah.
own work. Yeah.
Because I'm thinking if you're working with structure-bound processes, you're trying to find creative ways to work with each person.
Yeah.
And one of the things that you need to do is to help the person get a little bit of space from this kind of chronic process that
Yeah.
start with, it's so close they can't even be
Yeah.
aware of it.
Yeah.
And first to get enough space that they can begin to have some awareness of this deep
Yeah.
pattern.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. In our teachings and what we do is making space, the basic of everything.
Okay.
Making space is the makes a space to have focusing.
Yeah.
And if making space not, then we have to look how the client or we can have connection to ourselves.
Yeah.
And this is a main training or in every workshops to have this space.
Yeah. Yeah. It sounds very thorough. The training sounds very thorough. It's like very detailed.
Yeah,
You kind of take a particular kind of process and look at it from different angles, and you stay with it so
yeah,
that the therapist gets a very deep sense of kind of how to work with all different phenomenon.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it sounds very, very thorough.
yeah.
Yeah, it sounds good.
That's true.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of practice during the workshops.
You always have a little lecture
Uh-huh.
and do it.
Yeah, exactly. We do the same.
Lecture to it. And yeah,
Yeah. Well, I'm glad
yeah,
we had a chance to talk. I'm fascinated.
yeah,
I don't know how we can get more uh kind of exchange and dialogue between what you've developed so fully and the rest of the focusing community that doesn't know about it.
yeah, I know.
Yeah. Well,
But if you want, I have written a book in German, The Magic Moments, the name.
okay.
And I describe very detailed what I told you. Um, and that's German. I have a manuscript about it. And if you want to have it, if you take it in DeepL or something, the translation program, uh,
Yeah.
possibly you can open it for you.
I really appreciate
Yeah,
talking to you. I found it fascinating, and yeah, I really felt like I was in that room in your training,
yeah,
and it feels good. It feels
yeah,
like a good training. Great. So let's keep in touch.
yeah. I
Yeah.
like it too. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
to give it out is a good feeling
Yeah.
to give it in the world. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Perfect. Well, I'll edit our conversation and
yeah.
we'll share it and people will learn about your existence.
Okay.
Very good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Bye for now.
Bye. Ciao,
Yeah.
ciao.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye.